Hey there. Welcome back to Grave Echoes TV. Tonight, I want to tell you a story. Not something I heard secondhand or read on some forgotten forum. No, this happened to me. And after that night, I never looked at the forest the same way again. So, are you afraid of entering the woods at midnight? Let me tell you why maybe you should be. It happened 2 summers ago. My name is Ethan, and back then, I was working as a wilderness guide in northern Michigan. The kind of place where the pine trees stretch like black claws into the sky, and the nights are so quiet it makes your heartbeat feel like a drum. That night, I was guiding 2 clients on a midnight survival experience. Crazy idea, right? They paid to get dropped deep into the forest with nothing but basic tools and flashlights, and I'd lead them back to civilization by dawn. Adrenaline junkies. Their names were Mike and Lucas, young guys in their early 30s, full of bravado and energy. We started around 10 p.m. The moon was barely a sliver, and the deeper we went, the thicker the silence became. No wind, no oats, not even insects, just the crunch of her boots on the pine needle-covered trail. I remember Mike saying, "Man, this is creepy as hell. I love it." Lucas laughed and added, "Let's hope Bigfoot doesn't show up." We laughed too, but the forest didn't. Around midnight, we reached the deepest part of the woods, where even I hadn't gone often. We set up a small fire, cooked some dried meat, and rested. That's when the weird stuff started. First, there was the distant sound of a bell. Not a church bell, not a cowbell. It sounded old, rusted, like it hadn't rung in decades. Mike asked, "You guys hear that?" I nodded. Lucas said, "Probably some old metal swinging in the wind." But there was no wind. I stood up, scanning the tree line. I felt something then. A pressure, like the trees were leaning in closer. Like they were listening, watching. Then the fire went out. No one touched it. It just died. Our flashlights flickered. Not all at once. One by one. Mine went first. Then Mike's. Then Lucas's. We were plunged into total blackness. I've never heard silence that loud. Mike whispered, "What the hell is going on?" I opened my mouth to answer, but then we heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Crunching. Not coming from one direction. From everywhere. Lucas panicked. He bolted into the trees, yelling, "Nope, nope, nope, I'm not doing this." We screamed after him, but he was already swallowed by the dark. Mike and I stood frozen. I grabbed his arm and hissed, "We have to go after him. Now." We moved fast, following the noise, calling his name. But all we found was his flashlight. Still warm. Still working. No sign of Lucas. Then we heard him scream. Not a scared scream. Not a startled one. It was raw. Agony. Like something tore him apart. Mike dropped to his knees, crying. This was supposed to be a joke. This wasn't supposed to be real. That's when I saw it. Between the trees. A shape. Tall. Human-shaped, but wrong. It didn't move like a person. It flowed. Its body almost glitching like a corrupted file. And its eyes. God, I still see them. Like holes in reality. Just absence. It reached toward us. Not quickly. Slowly. Like it knew we couldn't run. Mike didn't move. I grabbed him and pulled, yelling, "Run. Don't look back." We ran. For what felt like hours. I don't remember if the thing followed. I just ran until the forest started to look familiar again. We burst into the ranger's cabin at dawn. Both of us shaking and bleeding from thorn scratches. Search and rescue teams spent 3 days looking for Lucas. They found nothing. No tracks. No body. Just his flashlight. Exactly where we'd left it. Mike quit his job the next week. Moved to Arizona. Swore off forest forever. As for me, I still guide tours. But never at night. Never again. So, are you afraid of entering the woods at midnight? Because I wasn't. Not until that night. Thanks for listening to Grave Echoes TV. If you're still awake, maybe keep the lights on tonight. I didn't sleep for days after that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those eyes. Or more accurately, the lack of them. Like someone had cut holes in the universe, and that thing had been looking through them at us. I went back to the spot a week later. I know, I shouldn't have. But something inside me needed closure. Needed to know that maybe I imagined it all. That stress and darkness played tricks on me. I didn't tell anyone I was going. Just packed a flashlight, a flare gun, and a high-powered camcorder. I told myself I'd stay 10 minutes and leave. That I'd document the area, and prove to myself it was all just a night gone wrong. But the forest doesn't let go of people that easily. It was daytime, around 3 in the afternoon when I arrived. The place looked wrong. Not damaged, not eerie, just off. Like the trees were standing a little too still. Like the silence had been baked into the soil. The fire pit was still there, cold and undisturbed. Lucas's footprints had long been erased. But I swear, I could still feel his panic in the air. It clung to the ground like mist. And just standing there, I started sweating even though it wasn't hot. I turned on the camcorder, slowly panning across the clearing. That's when I saw something strange. A pile of rocks. 6 of them, stacked like a tiny tower near the base of a tree. I hadn't seen that the night it all happened. I approached slowly. At the top of the rock pile, wedged under the final stone, was a piece of fabric. I pulled it out. It was part of a shirt. Lucas's shirt. My blood turned to ice. There was no blood on it. No tira marks. It looked like it had been placed there. Carefully. Intentionally. Then I noticed something even worse. There was a second pile. And a third. Each spaced evenly apart in a rough circle around the clearing. Each with its own little object. A shoelace. A piece of duct tape. A crushed energy bar wrapper. All from that night. It felt like someone or something was marking the space. Like they were creating a shrine. Or worse, a boundary. Suddenly, the trees shifted. I don't mean the wind moved them. I mean they actually shifted. Their trunks twisted, just slightly, like they were turning to face me. I heard a whisper then. Not in my ear. Not in the air. It was in my head. But it wasn't my voice. It said one word. Stay. I ran. I don't remember how I got back to my truck. I barely remembered driving home. All I know is when I reviewed the footage later that night, it had glitched out halfway through. Right when I found the first rock pile, the screen filled with static. Then it cut to black. The file was corrupted, except for one frame. A single frame that lasted less than a second. When I paused it, I saw the clearing. And standing in the middle of it was Lucas. But it wasn't him. His face was wrong. His body was too long. His arms hung lower than they should. And his eyes, they were just holes. Just like that thing. I tried to show the footage to others. They said it was a trick of the light. A video artifact. But I know what I saw. And more importantly, I know it saw me. Weeks went by. Then months. I moved apartments. Changed my number. Did everything I could to leave that forest behind. But sometimes, when I'm alone in bed, I hear it again. The bell. That old, rusted bell. And when I do, I stay perfectly still. Because I know if I move, it'll find me. Sometimes, I wake up with dirt under my nails. And once, just once, I woke up with pine needles in my sheets. I live in a 3rd-floor apartment. No trees for miles. So if you ever think about wandering into the forest at midnight, don't. Some things out there don't want to be found. But if you do find them, they might not let you go. Thanks for listening to Grave Echoes TV. And remember, if you ever hear a bell in the woods, do not follow it. Sleep well, if you can.